industry is changing in a tremendous way in the way that people consume our content. So we have to create delivery mechanisms to meet them where they are and to give them content in the way they want it. I believe that Sony's well positioned to bring us this efficient, flexible, dynamic production environment of the future. Right at this moment, we're converting our Atlanta production facilities to IP. We hope that this gives us the flexibility to adapt to new formats like 4K, 1080p HDR, but also new delivery methods. We want to create a virtual production infrastructure between all our cities. You have access to every signal in any place.
We're currently planning to start our IP journey with Aspen as our standard. But then as soon as SMPTE 2110 becomes the standard and the approved standard, we'll want to transfer and transform our systems to 2110. It's critical for us to stay in sync with Sony on standards and our expectations of redundancy and how we want to see our broadcast infrastructure interconnect not only within our facilities but around the world. One of the key things we're doing is redundantly routing all of our broadcast signals in the future. We don't currently do that. We need the ability for Sony to provide redundant streams coming out of those cameras.
More and more we find that the people that are participating in our workflows are distributed around the world. There's the photojournalist, there's the editor, there's the producer, there's the media wrangler, all the different roles that we have throughout the production workflow. The idea of integrating with the cloud to pull those contents out of the camera and make them visible, make them accessible, make them points of collaboration is really critical.
So cloud resources feel like they're part of our production environment, especially in the playout areas. We want it to be a seamless playout and a seamless transition between master control between on-prem or in the cloud.
This new IP infrastructure allows us to either build small sections of our facilities in 4K or really convert the entire production site over to 4K. It also allows us to have smooth on and off ramps to the cloud. So we can have direct connections between our infrastructure, our IP infrastructure, our cameras, our studios, directly into the cloud for either playout or live production in the future as well.
In sports production, we really use a lot of long lenses. So we really are looking for something in that B4 2/3 inch imager size. We've standardized much of our production around the Sony HDC 4300 high-speed camera. What we're finding is that we distribute a lot of content as live streams to digital product, to digital outlets. So if we're now able to take the stream directly from the camera and maybe have other workflows, other technologies like the intercoms and camera tallies embed into an IP stream, rather than having this rack full of equipment, I can just send these cameras out and connect them to an IP stream and basically be able to do all of this work in a very simple, very easy to configure workflow.
So if we want to scale for a large production, we can pull a great number of resources. So like a convention or a big sporting event, like the NBA All-Star Game, the NCAA tournament, we can disaggregate them and use them across a lot of smaller events.
Digital is always on the front edge of new and emerging technologies. So we choose tools that really help us make our content look great with limited amounts of time. And so there's an emphasis on flexibility and ease of use. Even though we're utilizing the tools for their cinematic storytelling qualities, we are still working under incredibly tight ENG deadlines. Each one of these shoots has slightly different requirements. So some of the shoots will be in 4K, some will be in HD, some will be shot flat, some will be shot in S-Log, some will be shot with baked-in color. So for us, it's about having a tool that can be super easy to use for someone who might not be using it every day. We try to control for as many of the production variables as we can, but in the end of the day, having tools where someone could pick it up and learn it really quickly, or take the CNN digital video settings and put it on the camera in a really fast, easy way is very important.
We're really lucky. We have had a long-standing, very close relationship with Sony, both as industry-leading organizations, and particularly in the realms of technology for news production and news gathering. Now we were beginning to deal with the changes in the industry that surrounded cinema news gathering, cinema cameras, cinema-style shooting for news organizations. And again, Sony stepped up and has delivered products to the marketplace that we use today, and that's what we're excited to talk more about this year, is new products and how can we continue to develop things that don't just benefit CNN, but can benefit the industry as well.
I think the big change that we've seen in field production since 2012 is that we're doing a lot more large sensor work. The number of requests for the cinema camera shoots and the cinematic look has increased exponentially. The cinema cameras today aren't nearly as rugged and durable as the ENG cameras that we've historically used. These Sony ENG cameras, and they just keep working. And that's the kind of durability that we need to have going forward, but with a cinema camera sensor. We'd also like to have variable frame rates so that we can overcrank and undercrank. We do a considerable amount of time lapse and slow-mo.
It's really important for us that we have 4K because we want to be able to, for example, we're shooting vertical video. We're shooting video that is square. We're shooting video that is being reframed in post-production.
We're also interested in HDR. We'd like to be able to take advantage of the full spectrum of color that's available out there.
What I would love to see out of future Sony cameras is something that is truly professional, but feels like an iPhone. For me, it's really important moving forward that Sony get into a place where we could have interchangeable lens mounts that are easy to swap, giving us the option to sort of take the great Sony brain and the sensor and build it in 5 or 6 different configurations from small to big super easily without going to lots of third-party tools. Virtual reality and 360 videos are becoming an important part of what we do. Having Wi-Fi Genlock, that having Wi-Fi connectivity between cameras where we can create an ad hoc network in the field and get our cameras to talk to each other and tell each other what they are and what they're doing.
5G holds so much promise because we have such increased data rates and also increased capacity with the 5G networks.
We can really think about the future camera as a connected device. We could send video from the camera to the cloud and back to do things like facial recognition.
GPS functionality in a camera is really useful. It allows us to collect metadata that will be very valuable as we archive that content in the future.
The location-based capabilities of a camera, being able to see where our photojournalists are, being able to search our video by location.
When we can use Sony cameras, professional cameras, perhaps with the proxy video, and get proxy video to our phones, maybe do simply for viewing or do a tops and tails edit.
I'm encouraging Sony to take a little step back and look at the camera not just as the thing that's in the box, but to decompose this and think of it as a whole suite of capabilities that exist both within the device and stretching out to the cloud in a really seamless fashion.
We know that we're a demanding client at CNN and that we probably ask for more than we should. The Sony cameras have served CNN well for several decades now. We've always been a big fan of Sony, and the Sony cameras have always really done right by us.
We're looking forward to discussing now with what's next. How do we continue with this partnership to develop products, improve workflow, improve how we as businesses are successful.
We look forward to that same kind of relationship going forward as we move into new realms of cinema, news gathering, HDR, and 4K production.
Just from the bottom of my heart, it's a very gratifying partnership that we have with Sony, and thank you.